Hey everybody, it's Fernando from the Rollback Podcast. I know what you're thinking, that's a sound that you haven't heard in a while. And yeah, I know. It's been a while. But, I'm back, and let's see what I can do with this amount of time that I got. So today I kind of had some free time, today and yesterday. And I rewatched Godfathers Part 1 and 2 because there is no Godfather 3. We don't talk about Godfather 3. I'm kidding. I haven't seen the new Godfather 3. I guess, not technically it's remastered, but the re-envisioned Godfather 3. I haven't seen that one yet. So I need to give that one a shot. But, for today's podcast, I don't know. I guess I was going to talk about my review of Godfather Part 1 and Part 2. And I guess it's fair to say, we can start off with Godfather Part 1. You know, initially when this movie came out, I wasn't even fucking born. I wasn't even an idea. But I guess what I was trying to say is the first time I heard about this movie, I was still relatively young. I was a kid at the time. I never saw it. My first introduction to The Godfather was actually through the video game, The Godfather video game. I played it immensely for the PS2, and it was so fucking fun. I love that game with a passion, and I mean, for the most part, it follows the movie. I think the only thing it really doesn't follow is the side story of Michael going to Sicily. But no, for the most part, it pretty much follows the fucking movie to a T. But yeah, that was the first time I was introduced to The Godfather. And I have to say I was hooked. I mean, The Godfather itself has like such a pronounced history, such a fucking legacy. It's almost like you haven't seen The Godfather. I know, like, some people are like, oh, The Godfather sucks, it's too short. I mean, not short, it's too slow. And I'm just like, oh, I get it, but I mean, the first time I saw it, believe me, I fucking fell asleep because it's a long fucking movie and I'm tired. But for the most part, I mean, the movie in itself is a really well acted movie. You get Pacino, a young Pacino, really trying to make a name for himself. You got Jimmy Caan, you got Robert Duvall, you got fucking Marlon Brando before he went nutso. Granted, he was probably a little nutso in this, but you had so many heavy hitters in this fucking movie. You have Francis Ford Coppola as a director, and he just fucking nails this movie. We get Diane Keaton, we get fucking, who else? Let's see. And one person I feel like doesn't get enough love in this franchise is John Casal. He plays Fredo in Godfather 1 and Godfather 2. And his story in itself is pretty fucking tragic because shortly after Godfather Part 2, he passed away from cancer. And that's just, man, that just sucks. Because he is definitely one of the best actors in this franchise. We have Talia Shire as Connie. We have so many great actors in this movie. And so many just iconic moments. It starts off with the Sicilian wedding of the Godfather's daughter. He can't say no to a request on his daughter's wedding day, and I mean it's been parodied like so many fucking times because of this. Marlon Brando's voice itself has also been parodied because of this fucking movie, and just like the pronounced jaw and everything like that. This movie has so many things that live on in in pop culture that it's not surprising that they do. Oh, I don't know why I yawned. Probably because it's late. But no, this movie has so many things that just live on in pop culture. It's just so iconic. I can't. I really just. It's hard to describe this movie in words. It really is a. I wouldn't want to say something corny like it's an experience, but it is definitely a triumph in movies because I haven't seen the show. I hear it looks like it's gonna be great. I haven't. I want to say it's called. I have a proposition for you. Or I have an offer for you, and it's about the making of the Godfather. How real life mob did not want this movie to be made. They were like, this movie's gonna make us look bad, yada yada yada. But I think everyone in itself is fucking ecstatic that this movie got made. And then not just that. I mean, fucking the behind the scenes stuff, like how Jimmy Caan and Marlon Brando and I want to say Duvall as well had like these contests trying to make each other laugh. I want to say it was Jimmy Caan that drove by Marlon Brando's car and showed his ass to make him laugh, or Marlon Brando. Either way, both of these fucking stories, from either way you look at it, is fucking hilarious. Just to think that these guys were making this serious movie and then they're just being jackasses and showing each other's ass, trying to make each other laugh. Even Marlon Brando, there's the scene where he comes home from the hospital and they're carrying him up the stairs. This fucking asshole put weights in his bed to make it heavier as a fucking prank. Like, this whole fucking movie and the behind the scenes stuff is just fucking amazing and funny, and it's such an experience. Like Brando in this movie, for me, because I'm not really too familiar with Brando stuff, but for me, when I think of Marlon Brando, I think of this movie. I think of how he is in this movie. I think one of the main things of that is just fucking Brando is the scene where his godson is crying. He's in his office crying because this guy won't give him a movie role, and he's asking the Godfather for help, and the Godfather fucking mocks him. What do I do? And he fucking hits him. He smacks him. And it was completely unplanned. It wasn't in the fucking script. This fucking guy just was like, I feel like he's gonna smack. He should smack him right now. But yeah, the fucking asshole over here smacks the shit out of him. And yeah, there's just so many great scenes. So many. Jimmy Caan destroying the fucking. Oh my god, let's talk about that real quick. The fight between Sonny, Jimmy Caan's character, and Carlo, the husband of his sister, when he finally, I don't think he finally figured out, but like it gets shown like very prominent that Carlo beats Connie, and he fucking goes and finds Carlo and beats the fuck out of him. And then it's just funny because like some shots don't connect because it's acting, and then there's a part where Carlo's holding on to like a railing for like his life, and then Sonny bites his fucking hand, like, let go, you little bitch, I'm gonna fucking beat the shit out of you. And just this movie in itself is just amazing. When I was rewatching it today, it's still amazing on how you're able to be hooked into this movie. How many quotes they are in this movie. My father always taught me to keep my friends close, but my enemies closer. I am going to make him an offer he can't refuse. There's just so many fucking quotables in this movie. And it's insane on how fucking quotable this movie is. I think for me, The Godfather 1 is definitely one of these movies where it wasn't a thing beforehand. Like, this was completely brand new, and it was definitely an experience to watch, especially when I first saw it. And then to keep rewatching it, I'm like, man, this fucking movie is so good. But yeah, just some of my favorite things about this movie in itself are definitely the backstage stories, like how Marlon Brando was like, I'm not gonna remember my lines, so they had to fucking put cue cards all over the fucking place so that he could read them, and he would method act. Coppola, I think, was in debt before this movie came out, and then they offered him this movie, and he got out of debt, and then just, I don't know. It's just so many things in this movie. Like how George Lucas had a fucking role in this movie where he set up one of the scenes, and yeah, fucking, I don't know, man. This movie just in and of itself has so many crazy things that happen that you just can't really believe. And then plus, I mean, it's movies like these that just inspired a whole fucking genre of things. It inspired The Sopranos. It inspired movies like Goodfellas and real life situations like that happen in fucking Goodfellas. Just this movie in and of itself is just a cultural icon. And now I want to cut into Godfather Part 2. Godfather Part 2 is a lot longer. I believe it's around almost half an hour longer than Godfather Part 1. And the thing about Godfather Part 2, it's really two movies in one. We get to see the rise of... We get to see the rise of Michael Corleone as a certified mobster, even though he's already kind of established himself, but you really see him evolve into something that is just he cannot walk away from. In the first movie, we see Michael as this guy who came back from war, and he doesn't want to go into the family business. It's really more of his brother's deal. His brother gets murdered, and he decides to take matters into his own hands and starts going after the people that murdered his brother and went after his father. And then he consequently gets put into this life that it feels like no one ever wanted for him. Like, I don't think his father wanted this life for him, and now he's in it. And at the beginning of this movie, it pretty much picks up almost not immediately, but pretty quickly after the first one ends, where Michael's trying to get into the legitimate side of business. He has gotten rid of the 5 families. He is the last man standing, and he's really trying to get a more legitimate foothold in Las Vegas. And the person that's stopping that is a senator and another guy that we're introduced to in this movie called Hyman Roth. Along with Hyman Roth, we are introduced to new characters like Frank Pentangeli, and we're also introduced to the introduction of a young Vito Corleone played by Robert De Niro. We get to see the story of young Vito Corleone on how he arrived in the United States, where he came from, and we get to see that alongside Michael Corleone navigate this new world of him trying to go legit, but he can't really go legit because he is a gangster. He's pretty much stuck in a rock and a hard place. He is trying to do what he needs to do to keep his position not viable, but to keep his position solidified. And he's also having to pay for the sins of his past. What he did to Mo Green, what he did to the 5 families. He has to pay for everything that he did in the past. What led to Frank Pentangeli almost getting assassinated. What led to Hyman Roth trying to kill him. He's having to pay for everything that he's ever done. You get to see the dehumanization of Michael Corleone, and I think one of the biggest examples of that is when he has I guess it's a prostitute. He has a prostitute killed to frame the Senator Geary. And basically force him to be in his debt. We see him do that. He does this with Frank Pentangeli as well, to get Frank to not turn state's evidence against him, because Frank was about to go against Michael. He was about to testify in court about all the things that Michael has done. And then fucking Michael Corleone brings his brother in from Sicily, doesn't say a word, nothing, just sits there and looks at him like, you realize what you're about to do is going to go against everything that we've been doing ever. But you see how much Michael has changed, or how much the idea of the mafia has changed from the first movie to this movie. Because in the beginning, Frank is pissed because he can't see Michael, and he's like, he has me waiting in the freaking lobby, all this stuff. And I mean, back then it wasn't like that. Pretty much the Godfather's associates always had first bidding for the Godfather. But Michael isn't like his father. And to be honest, I think Michael's more ruthless than Vito. Vito did what he had to do to get where he needed to get to. But, there's just a coldness that Michael does things that it just affects everyone around him. And I mean, people forget in the first Godfather, he got married. He fucking said bye to Kay. He was like, I'm on the run, I have to go hide, yada yada yada. And he fucking said bye. He got married to Apollonia, which, if you're watching the scene in Godfather 1 where Michael and Apollonia are consummating the marriage, she is 16. Yeah. 16. Very awkward. Very awkward once we found that one out. So, just throwing that out there. But yeah, where was I going with this? Oh yeah. Michael lost his first wife, Apollonia, goes with Kay. And to be honest, Kay's not really into this life. She's not one to shut her mouth like Michael's mother. Like, she will speak up. And that, she's nothing like Michael's mother. And what's weird is you'd think that Michael would have gotten someone like his mother, but he didn't. And throughout the movies, they never really showed that Michael was this womanizer like his brother, Sonny. He was pretty much, from the looks of it, faithful to Kay while he was married to her. He wasn't the type to go womanizing, to go trying to find a new girl every night. Like, it looked as though he was very loyal to Kate, which is a little weird. Because you would think, like, with Kate being so different, that he would cheat. But, I mean, ironically, he didn't. Along with that, we get to Godfather 2, and Fredo goes against his brother. He holds this animosity towards him because he's older than Michael, and Michael basically stepped over him to become Don. And we all knew that Fredo was never going to be Don. It wouldn't be realistic. Fredo just wasn't that type of guy. And because of this, Fredo, he releases Michael's whereabouts, where Hyman Roth tries to kill him, and Michael ends up figuring out these things, and we get the infamous scene where Michael and Fredo are in Havana, and he grabs him and he says, "I know it was you," gives him a kiss, and basically says, "You're dead to me." And then when he finally sees Fredo again, he tells him, like, "You're dead to me. I don't want to see you ever again. If you're going to come see our mother, I want to know a day in advance so I'm not there." And yeah, he's just fucking, he is ruthless to his brother. And, some would say rightfully so. His brother did almost get him killed. And so you could see as to why he's a little ruthless towards him. And, I kind of agree that he's ruthless, but I don't agree with the actions that are about to follow. He keeps Fredo alive until his mother's death. And then right before Fredo's going to take Michael's son out, Anthony, to go fishing, he goes fishing with one of Michael's friends, and not Michael's friends, one of Michael's soldiers, and Michael's soldier kills him, and that's how the movie ends. We get the gunshot, and then prior to this, we get the infamous Kay and Michael scene where she tells him, I didn't have a miscarriage, Michael. I had an abortion. That is what our marriage is. It's an abortion." And fucking Michael snaps. He pushes her. I think he smacks her. Like, this is the first time you see him snap, and he hits her. And you also come to think, like, Robert Duvall's character had to have known that she had an abortion, because he took her to the doctor. Like, he had to have known. But, I mean, we don't know. We don't know for sure. Yeah, we see the de-evolution of Michael Corleone as a human. I mean, I think it's fair to say, like, Michael becomes a monster of himself. And it's hard to really root for the guy when he's ruined everything that he's ever touched. And now this is the comparison part. Which one is better? That's the age-old question. Which one is better? Godfather 2, where we get the fall of Michael Corleone, and then we get to see the rise of Vito Corleone, Robert De Niro, or Godfather 1, which is a classic. It is a fucking classic of a movie. So many iconic scenes, such an iconic cast. it's really hard. It's really hard to tell which one is the best. I For me personally, I would say Godfather 1 is my favorite. Just because it's so iconic. There's so many iconic scenes in there. But I can see why someone would choose Godfather 2. Godfather 2 is also an amazing movie. But as far as I go, I would have to say that Godfather 1, for me, is my favorite movie in the Godfather series. Imagine if I just threw out a heater. Godfather Part 3 is the greatest movie ever made. The other two suck. Bags of dicks. Fight me. But I don't think anyone has ever said that Godfather 3 is the best one. I think you'd have to be pretty dumb to have that point of view, because, man, that one is just horrible. But yeah, maybe I'll do a Godfather 3 review in this coming week of the newest version, I guess the reimagined version. See how good or if they even made it good, because every time I see that movie, the only thing I think of, why is he fucking his cousin? And yeah, but yeah, that is it, everybody. That was my review for Godfather 1 and Godfather 2. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any thoughts, please feel free to comment on the thumbnails on Facebook and Instagram. The ones that run them are Eddie and Chema. Eddie calls you all a bunch of pussies, and I don't think that's right. So if you have any thoughts to say to him, you go for it. But yeah, that is it, everybody. This is Fernando from the Rollback Podcast. This was your Wednesday Rewind for the review of Godfather 1 and Godfather 2 and the ultimate which one is better. Have a good day, everybody. This is Fernando, and let's cut this.